Data analyst, part detective, part magician, turning numbers into trends and coffee into insights. Here's a comment I found on YouTube. Very romantic, but is it actually true? To check that, I have created a complete roadmap of your activities from the moment you're hired to the moment you're fired or get promoted, and I'll share it with you. You'll get to know about daily job struggles, soft and hard skills, ChatGPT and its dangers, salaries, and finally, what not to do as a data analyst. Still think it's romantic? Stay till the end. So let's imagine you finally became a data analyst, meaning you're hired by a company, preferably a good company, like IKEA. By the way, I have been working for them as an external senior data analyst for the past 2 years. So, based on my experience, let's go on. That's gonna be a deep dive. First thing you will go through is onboarding. Here you will get all of your access, email, work messengers, and so on. You will get to know your colleagues and will attend some work meetings. Onboarding might take anything from 2 weeks to a month. Usually it's a good time because it's interesting and there is no pressure and you get fully paid. Guys, before we go on, here's a quick safety measure. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Your further path will drastically depend on whether you will join an existing data analytics team or if there is no existing data analytics team. In the latter case, you might be hired as a replacement for someone who is not there anymore, or as a pioneer data analyst. Alternatively, you might join an existing team of data analysts or a broader engineering team with diverse skill sets. So not just data analysts, but data engineers, DevOps, and so on. In the team, you might be a replacement for a data analyst who is not there anymore, or be an extension to the team. The practical difference between being solo and being a part of a team will get clear to you as we go. Being a replacement is usually harder as being an extension because you will have to pick up things very quickly that will be expected from you. If you're a new guy, a solo data analyst, this is quite dangerous, especially if you're only beginning your journey, and I will explain why later in this video. Then actually comes the part people usually call work, doing stuff. You will be doing stuff using your skills, soft skills and hard skills. Most likely your journey will start from soft skills. In particular, before you start writing any code or creating dashboards, you will be talking to the business people, for example, sales managers, etc. This is a crucial part and it needs your attention and focus. You will gather requirements, document them, and create a backlog of tasks. For example, the business will come up with a request to forecast sales for the next year. You will have to ask all of the clarification questions, like which particular sales, which data filters should be applied, how the data is entered, and so on. You need to get a deep understanding of the request. Then you will have to carefully document these requirements. In other words, create tickets, usually in some work tracking system like Jira. It is best that you do it on fly while talking to your business colleagues. Yes, I suggest talking out and documenting down the request simultaneously. And the business has to watch you writing and approve what has been written. This will make sure you have agreed on stuff black and white. From my experience, this approach greatly reduces misunderstandings in the future. Otherwise, you might fail your next steps. Such meetings with business might occur a couple of times per week. And this might be a lot, especially if you are introverted. I'm kinda extroverted and I enjoy this part. It feels like being in one of those movies where you are an investigator, asking all kinds of smart questions. When you have gathered all the requirements, the resulting list of tickets will be your backlog. This is basically work that has to be prioritized, assigned, and get done. Are you still motivated? Then have a look at my top video on how to become a data analyst. No sugarcoating. Your next activity will be either teamwork or solo work. Let's start with the teamwork. Normally, there are 2 ways of working, either Scrum or Kanban. When you do Scrum, you will regularly and repeatedly attend the 4 Scrum events. These are absolute must meetings with your team. These meetings will occur once per 2 to 4 weeks. This is called working in sprints. Sprint planning. Here the tickets will be prioritized and assigned. So you will get some tickets assigned to you for the next 2 to 4 weeks. This is work you have to do. For example, you might be assigned 5 to 10 tickets related to building the sales dashboard we have been talking about earlier. Then you will report on your progress on these tickets every day during daily stand-ups. These are 15-minute meetings where your team and your manager can listen to what is going on and if you are working properly. What they want to hear? Basically, they want to hear that you are moving tickets from to do to actually done, and also align on other stuff. For some people, this is a very annoying meeting. They hate reporting every day on what they do. At the end of each sprint, you will have a sprint review. Here you will show the fruits of your labor, an increment of work. In our case, you will have to demonstrate a working sales dashboard. Your team members and your manager might be watching you presenting to the business. If you fail to deliver this sales dashboard, then you will have to present at least something and also have a good reason for the failure. The reason could be unexpected data issues, dependencies on other people, say data engineer failed to give you the data in a proper shape. Well, then that would be him justifying the failure. After that, during sprint retrospective, you will discuss how to work better as a team to improve during the next sprint. Every Scrum event, except for daily stand-up, can easily take a few hours of your time, so this is a big part of what you are gonna do actually. Then you will have to repeat the cycle again and again. This is how you might be working throughout your entire data analytics career. Another way of working is Kanban. If you do that, you basically will gather the requirements, create a backlog of tasks, and try to do as much as you can until a fixed date. Then you present it to the business, and then you repeat. Kanban is what you actually will be doing in case you are a solo data analyst. Being a solo is not easy. There is no one to talk about data-related problems, no one to help, no one to back you up, no one to teach you. You are on your own and the company expects you to deliver. This is a lot of pressure and I would avoid such positions, especially if you're in the beginning of your career. Here comes the hard skill part. You roughly will have 4 main activities: get data, clean data, shape data, and visualize data. To do these activities, you will need core skills, those that you need to have a good grip on, and recommended skills, those you can kind of learn as you go. So unless you have perfect ready-to-use data, which is rarely the case, you will need SQL to query the data you need. One use case might be that you have sales data for many years, but you need only the last 5 years of data for your dashboard. To do that, you write an SQL query using Cloud Platform User Interface. Your query is done when the output data is saved on the cloud platform. This saved data is often referred to as a view, so you will be creating views. But this is only the beginning. You've heard it many times: bad data, messy data, dirty data. Unfortunately, this is true. It is a pain for every data analyst. Someone entered a wrong date value, wrote their name incorrectly, and so on. This needs a lot of tedious data cleaning work. The good news is that as the time goes, data gathering systems get more sophisticated, preventing users entering wrong data. As a result, you have less data cleaning work. However, there are still many companies that use Excel for their data gathering purposes. This is a really bad practice because a user can easily mess up the data while entering it into those Excel files. In IKEA, I had to deal with data from 500 Excel files, which I had to convert to one single source of data to be able to visualize and analyze it. For me, this was a real challenge, constantly chasing users for their wrong data entries. So, avoid companies that ask you to analyze their Excel data. Shaping your data is also an important part. This includes aggregations, transformations, and so on. For example, if you want to aggregate data by year instead of having monthly data, you will most likely use Python to clean and shape your data. Some data analysts do it in SQL, but I would argue that Python is generally a better tool for that. It is more versatile and it is easier to work with. For example, working step by step using a Jupyter notebook. And more importantly, it is convenient to implement version control with Git for your Python code. Git allows for tracking changes of your code and to quickly pull back old working code if you broke something with your recent changes. Don't worry, learning how to work with Git is not difficult. It might take you some days or some weeks, but it's nearly not the same as learning Python or SQL, which can take you multiple months. Finally, you will ask your DevOps colleague to work their magic and ensure your Python code and its output, which is cleaned and shaped data, are uploaded to the cloud. Once it's there running, you can use Power BI or Tableau to create beautiful dashboards with your shiny data. Wondering what red markers mean? These are my notes about what not to do. Here's the first important note. Don't only visualize the data, but also analyze it, meaning assess it, scrutinize it, figure out if it makes sense, and write a short drama of the data. Write what those sales numbers are telling you. Do you see an upcoming trend or a downtrend? Or is there no trend? And so on. It might be often the case that the numbers don't make sense. Say your sales for the previous year are much higher than for the current year. Then you might need to debug the data, crunch the numbers, figure out what is wrong, if anything. If this happens, you might spend a lot of time debugging. After you make sure the data makes sense, only then present it to the business. By the way, in near future, you might not need all those tools like IDE for Python, Google Cloud for SQL, Power BI desktop app. All might be covered in one single place, in your browser. This is Microsoft Fabric. This is your future work paradise. Even ChatGPT will be inside. Well, we are still all waiting for that. So Microsoft, please, hurry up. Note, I do not mention Excel. I think Excel is evil. I think it is suitable only for a narrow set of tasks, like viewing some small data sets. Don't do any complex stuff with Excel. It is a bad practice. Regarding ChatGPT, it is a true blessing for data analysts. It can assist you on every step of your hard-skilled day-to-day journey. Sometimes I get so lazy that I ask ChatGPT even basic things. I no longer memorize the code syntax. I just know what I should do and how the code should look roughly. And I ask ChatGPT to write it. Oftentimes, I just ask ChatGPT using normal language and copy-paste the code. But before you rely on ChatGPT like that, you need to have some practice with the code without ChatGPT. You need to actually learn coding for real. Otherwise, how can you trust the AI? Note that sometimes it is tempting to upload your data to ChatGPT and make it analyze it for you. Never do that, since it will likely violate your company's security policies. If you are caught on that, you might be fired. How can someone catch you on that, would you ask? Well, you will be demonstrating your screen to someone from your colleagues and will just forget to hide the ChatGPT window. And you're busted. That easy. In terms of work distribution, talking to business and interacting with your team will be roughly 50% of your entire time. This is the soft skill work. The hard skill work is another 50%, where SQL is about 20%, Python is roughly 50%, and Power BI/Tableau is about 30%. Among these, querying data is about 10%, cleaning and shaping the data is about 70%, and visualizing and analyzing is 20%. Well, this might differ according to your ways of working, but this is roughly my experience. Note, I saw cases when people do all these complex activities predominantly in Power BI. I do not recommend doing that, since Power BI is not designed for that purpose. Regarding promotion and salary, your manager will have power over you. He can fire you or promote you depending on what you actually do. His opinion will largely depend on the feedback from business stakeholders and from the team. So among most important steps for not being fired but promoted are gathering and documenting requirements. Here you build trusting relationships with the business. Believe me, if you can understand those business guys better than they understand themselves, they're gonna love you. Make sure you talk out data-related requests from their often confused minds and put them black and white in the ticket. This is crucial. Then be transparent and collaborative during sprints. Your team and your manager will be watching you every time you speak. Make sure you follow timeless ethical principles like diligence and honesty. Following such principles would not only be good in itself, but it would be also your competitive advantage. And of course, your work output should be high quality. Your code should be up to standards. Your dashboards should be reliable and beautiful. That's the recipe for success. Yeah, guys, that's a lot to take in, but you might be wondering, if I go through all of this, is it even worth in terms of money? Well, being promoted might seriously raise your salary, but it will happen after you are hired. When you just enter an organization, you have to expect a market salary. In the US, for entry mid positions, you can expect something between 68 to 103K. Being hired with approximately 3 to 5 years of experience, you can expect something like 101 to 137K. If you are not from the US, here's how you can check it. Go on Glassdoor. This is a trusted source for salary statistics across the globe. Or simply go on LinkedIn and scroll through the offers to get an impression on the salary numbers. While you are inside the organization, you can quickly go about market salary. Say if you have built strong relationships with the people you work with. In extreme cases, you can get something like double income if you become kinda irreplaceable. Imagine you have built a very complex solution no one can really understand, and the company desperately needs this solution. So you are the only one who is going to maintain it. Then you might ask for a much higher salary than the market one. But note, depending on your organization, it is sometimes better to switch companies to get a higher salary, especially when these are big companies with rigid internal policies. Promotion might not be that fantastic there. Sometimes it is just better to go to another company for a significant salary rise. But don't make salary your priority. Make sure you enjoy the work and the people you work with. Trust me, following your passion is better than chasing the money. Is it a good salary? Of course it's a good salary, because data analytics is still considered to be a tech job, and tech is usually paid well, above average well. However, it's not a deep tech job like data science, for example, which can be paid even higher. Data analytics is a good balance between soft and hard skills, unlike data science, which is a really hard-skilled job. And there is a joke in the community that those who cannot do data science do data analytics. Do you agree? Also, the beauty of a data analyst job is that you can work remotely, meaning you can work for India and get the US rate, which could be significant money relative to your local salaries. You can find such roles on LinkedIn, for example. Usually, they explicitly write they are hiring globally. I work like that being in Eastern Europe, yet working for a Swedish company. Check out my day in the life as a remote data analyst video to see how it looks like from the inside. Whew, guys, I'm sweating. This was a deep dive, but I hope it was useful. All the links are in description. Now you let me know if all that still sounds romantic to you. Looking forward to your comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into data analytics, but right.